Hi there. In our early tutorial, we create a node application by the Redux library. And in this tutorial, we are going to create similar project with the Redux Toolkit library instead of the core Redux. And we will see that how can we improve our code by the helper function that provided by the Redux Toolkits. Actually, Redux Toolkit has lot of package or a lot of functions or package pre-configured with Redux Toolkit that we do not need to install separately. We will just install the Redux Toolkit and all the related or functions will be available to our project. So let's see how can we do that. For that, I am going to create another node application. For that make directory I am opening my new project, and here to create a node application I have to use yarn init y. It will create a npm package. So let's in npm package I need to provide a file. Let's name app and create this file here. This file will be the main application file that we will run here, like node.app.js, this one. But instead of writing this hard-coded, we will use a script for that. So and this time instead of node I will use the nodemon. So let's install the nodemon as a dev dependency. Dev dependency nodemon. So add this nodemon here. And we will create another library called the ESLint, because in node application when we write something, then there are chances that we create lot of miss. So the ESLint will provide our typing issue, or ESLint prevent to make the syntax error. For that, as a dev dependency ESLint. Now I have the ESLint installed, so I have to configure the ESLint. For that, yarn ESLint init command. Actually it will ask some questions like problem syntax, yes, and I will use common JS and not React, not Vue, no TypeScript, and we will use for Node and as a JavaScript. Now I have installed my ESLint and configured. So actually I have to save this file, or if I close this file, I have to write the same. It has the module, but my script is lost, so I have to type scripts. It will be start will be now my application is up and running. Now I can write my code here this way. I can see though in this file has nothing. Let's create our configure our Redux Toolkit. So for that, let's at first install the Redux Toolkit. It will be add redux.js/toolkit. This way I have to create a file or folder. store, and inside JS let's create the store. For that store will be configure store, and this store require the reducer function. So reducer, but I do not have the reducer function here, so I have to import our reducer function, or let's create the reducer function here. Reducer will be a function, and this reducer function take two arguments. One will be state, another will be action, and we must return something. Return state. So I have to export this store. Module dot exports will be store, and in my app it's throw an error because I do not use this function anymore. Actually it is not throw error, it is a warning that this function declared but never used. It is a ESLint error. So let's ignore this ESLint error by add this to where I go to in the ESLint configuration rules and pass this two function two rules here, and let's add a warning. Now it will remove our warning error message because it is not an error, it is a warning. So let's import our store in our app that is the node application. So I have to run the start command, and let's import our store here. If I save my file, I can see I am getting the same response, that get state used to read the Redux state and dispatch method used to update my store value, and that subscribe method is used to do something when store value changes. So we will see everything in one by one. At first let's go to my let's create a reducer function in a separate file. For that I am going to create, actually it will be slice, so let's give a name like it will be slice / user.js, and remove my reducer from here to here. Actually I need to remove this one, actually not this one. I remove everything. Now I have to import this reducer function. So for that I have to use constant reducer from require slice then user, and I have to export this reducer here. It will be exports is equal to reducer. So if I save my file, I can see everything works. Now I will improve this reducer. So how can we do that? Actually let's first put some default value in my reduce state store. So it will be state. Initial state will be loading will be false and error will be empty, and we will use the regular Redux UI to handle our store. So for that I will use, actually let's read first store first. In our app I have the store, so I can use this way, get state. If I save my file, I can see my default value. So if I need to update something, For that I have to store store.dispatch and pass something like type will be requested and payload will be an object and payload will be null. Now when we pass anything in our dispatch function, in our reducer will be in reducer action, will get that action from our dispatch. So whatever we pass inside this dispatch function will be available here. CLG action. If I save my file, I can see, actually let's comment out this store. I can see whatever I am passing, I am getting here. So let's handle them. Actually let's pass 3 more. One is requested, another one will be user or succeed. It will be user. Let's create this user. And another one, it will be failed scenario, and I am passing error message or user not found. .404 code. If I save my file, I will get the both three dispatch. So let's save this error message in my store. For that, in regular reducer Y, it was the switch handler, that switch case, switch action dot type. If action dot type case will be requested, then return original state and update the loading to true. It is the first, actually it is the first case, that if requested, that means it will handle this dispatch. Now let's handle this success and fail dispatch too. So for that, copy this line, it will be succeed, and copy another one, it will be failed. Now it will be, when succeed, it will be true to false. That means our data has available, and data will be user, and user comes from the action.payload, because we pass our data into the payload property. So it will be action.payload, and when it fails, loading will be false, and the error will be action.payload, because we pass the error message in our payload, and we do not have user. So let's create the user here. Initial value is null. If I save my, actually let's remove this line, and if I console log from here, actually console log from here to here, you can see I am getting the same result. That means it at first it error message, update message, and all everything, but I do not need to take everything. So I will put some condition. If true, then run this code, else run this code. If I save my file, I can see only the success scenario. If I type a error, that means false, then I will get the error scenario. Now we can see that our user state works exactly as the same way as we did with the Redux, only the core Redux library. And let's return the default from here will be this user. So it will work the same way. If I save my file, I will get the same idea, the same output. Now we are going to improve our code with the Redux helper function, Redux Toolkit's helper function. Let's go from here at first. We can see that every disk space, when we pass the disk space, we type request and we pass the value in the payload. That means it is an object. So we do not have to create this object by ourselves. Redux Toolkit has a library called action creator. So it will be like something. It will be stand request or requested will be createAction, and this createAction is a closure. That means at first I have to given the type that requested. I am giving the type, same type we provided here. Now this createAction return another function. That means this requested is now a function, and this function return this object. Let's see clg console log requested. If I try to invoke as a function, let's see what I get. Ignore this console log for now. If I save my file, I can see I am getting an object. That is the same object we type passing here. And if I pass something, that will be available in my payload. Actually, let's put the user first and put the user here. If I save my file, I can see it is the exactly same syntax as this one, that we do not have to create manually. And the created state has the another feature is the called, if I do not invoke as a function, that what I will get a object. That means that object has a type property which is requested. That is the exact value that we pass here. That means when we type two things manually, like requested in our dispatch method, and also again we type the requested in our reducer function, that means we have to type the same text twice. But when we type the same text twice, it will lot more possibility that we will create lot of typing mistake or typos. So for that, we create a constant function or constant variable, and then we export that variable whenever it needed. So when we use the createAction reducer, we do not need to create separate type. That means we separate constant. If I type here like type, I will get the type here available. So let's see, instead of creating the createAction in app component, we will create the createState in our slice. For that, let's create our createAction here. Let's actually copy this line and paste here. This createAction has the property, and this time I do not need the requested here. I can type requested.type. It will work exactly the same way. Now I have to export this object. So for that, actually I cannot export here I have to export here reducer, and then I have to pass the requested. This is a function that created by the createAction reducer, createAction handler function. So let's now in my reducer, that means in my app store, because this time I am passing our reducer as object, not a complete module. So for that, I have to go to my user and I have to use reducer as this way, as object way. So, and in my app Now I have the requested variable available in my app. I can import from here, like constant. It will require from the store slice and the user slice, and it will be the requested. So we do not need requested here, do not need requested here, and it will work the fine. Let's no need console log. I just instead of this line, I can write something like this one. It will be requested. Now I can see this code is a lot more simpler than this one. So if I save my file, actually throw an error. Let's check out. It says the createAction is not defined in user slice. That means user slice I do not import. Actually it is the I ignore these two lines. That is the reason I do not get the error. Actually now I am getting that I do not imported this create store in my user slice, so I have to import this way, or I can control then dot, it will import, or let's import manually constant. It will be the createAction from, or actually require at Redux Toolkit. Now in my app it shows that this error. Actually it is not error. Let's comment out these two for now. User is not used, that is the reason it shows the error. If I save my file, if I go to my, I can see. Let's comment out the actually I do not. Let's try to read our store here. How can you do that? We have the subscribe method. So store dot subscribe, and it is a function. That means it is a event listener. In regular event listener we have two things. At first we have the event that one click or data or something, but it is the Redux built-in event listener that always trigger when Redux store changes. So that is the reason we do not need to pass this first function. We just need to second function is enough. Now I will console log the store dot get state. If I save my file, I can see my loading is now true, because actually let's comment out this line. Actually comment out both. If I do so, I will get nothing, but actually I will get this one. If I type outside, I can see this is my initial value, but let's remove this one, and as soon as I dispatch something, I will see that it update our loading to true, because in our state we handle this function. So let's do the other two things like dispatch success and dispatch failed. For that I have to create another two slice or two action creator. It will be succeed. Actually it will be succeed, and here will be the succeed, and it will be failed, and this one will be also failed. And let's use these two here. It will be the dot type, and again here will be dot type. Now I have to export these two function, or two function. Actually it will be succeed, and another one will be failed. Now in my app I have this two property here, requested, succeed, failed available. Now I can dispatch these two things. Actually it is through an error. Let's create a variable here, is success, then I type the true, and then I can use here. This way the error warning will be gone, because when we pass directly true here, as though it always be true. So now in success I need to pass the user, so I have to uncomment the user here, and another error shows like succeed and fail. I did not consider this way, I have to use this way. Actually let's comment out or remove this line actually, or comment out, so that we can compare later. It will be succeed, and I have to pass the user here, and let's comment out this one again, and it will be failed and pass data error message, same error message that have here I have to pass there. If I save my file, I can see the error scenario. If I remove the dot exclamation mark, I will get the success scenario. Now I can see that our code is a lot more simpler. Let's remove put all the comment in one place. Actually let's copy everything. It will be easy to compare. I have to put this function in my top so that it does not throw an error anymore. Now let's uncomment here, and remove this line from here, remove this line from here, and now I can see this code is a lot more simpler than this code. This is the why that what I get. Actually it is the createAction feature. So I can improve our dispatch by the help of the createAction helper function. Now I have another helper function to improve our Redux store. So we do not need to pass our Redux store this way. So let's comment out this line, this code, and create our Redux store from the scratch by the help of Redux createReducer function. So I do not need anything like here. It will be createReducer from the Redux Toolkit library. It will provided by the Redux Toolkit createReducer, and then I have to pass the same initial state at first. First argument will be initial state, and second argument will be an object. So in this object I have to type the same case like this one. Let's copy paste from here to here, but this time no need the case, and everything okay. Now we know that it is an object, so object cannot use this way because it is a variable. So we have to wrap our variable into an angle bracket. So let's do the same thing here, and do the same thing here. Now we have three objects. Now in object we do not need return statement anymore, so no need. But in object we have the actually let's comment out this line. It will be this way. It will be a function, and this function return an object, and this function has two property. One is state, another one will be action, and we will return the same object here. Actually it is already an object, will be this way. So the second method will be the same. That means we have object function and this function return this object. So and in this function I will have the first argument as a state and second argument as action, and actually it is an object, so I have to pass the comma, and the third option is the same. So I have to an function, and this function return an object, and this function has two property, state, action, and I have to pass the comma. And in here I can see it shows the error because it is not error, actually it is shows the this variable is not used. So this is the lot more simpler way. We do not need the check that switch case something. If I save my file, I can see I am getting the same output, but when I use this way, it says that the object notation of createReducer is deprecated and it will be removed on the Redux Toolkit version 2. Please use the builder callback notation instead of the object notation. That means it says that createReducer has two ways to handle or create the reducer function. One is the object notation that we use here, and this says that this object notation will be deprecated in Redux 2.0 version. So we have to use the builder callback function notation. So how can we do that? Let's see them in action. For that, let's comment out this line again and convert our this code as a action, this builder action property. So the first argument will be an initial state, but the second argument will be an function. This way, the function has a argument called builder. Whatever we name, it doesn't matter. builder, builder, and then we have to use this way. Builder.addCase if it is a requested dot this one. If it request dot type in the first case, then second case will be the function, and it returns the same two function. That means I can pass the same function here. Let's copy the function from here. I can put the same function here. Now I am handling the requested part. Then I have to do the for both success and failure in this way. So let's create the success and failure way. For builder, if requested, no, instead of requested, it will be succeed, actually succeed, and then I need the same function. Let's copy the function here and pass the same function here. And in third case, let's copy paste the function here and remove this part. It will be builder.addCase, and first argument will be the type and second argument will be that function. So if I add little bit of space here, at first it seems little bit complicated, but when you use practice more, then it will be your habit, then it will makes no complication anymore. Now I can see I am getting the same result as I did before, but this time I do not have the deprecation warning message. So this is the latest way to handle the React to create the reducer function, reducer with the createReducer helper function. So Now I am creating, actually let's remove all the mess or all the code that we do not need. We actually no need this one, or I can put my code in later. Now I can see my code is a lot more simpler. So by the help of createAction and createReducer, our state and our dispatch mechanism is created a lot more simpler. So this is the beauty of the Redux Toolkit's helper function. Now in our next tutorial we will use another create helper function that we do not have to create this reducer, this action creator or reducer creator manually. We will do only one action creator and everything will be automatically created. So let's see in our next tutorial.